Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. Okay,
Yes, Brenda, the summoning worked.
exactly. But let's clarify why the summoning worked. Here was the issue. So we've all discussed about on Psychic the Plans, the Invisible's psychotic manager.
Okay, let's be careful what we say. We will call it psychotic management,
Exactly.
as in the. It's one of those. I get what you're trying to do. It's really not supposed to work like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had to go fetch the Invisible because, of course, he doesn't fly yet. So we went and got him, and that took a minute. So that's why we're late. That will happen on occasions. I find it better to hold off the stream than to do the "we're starting soon" stream, and it runs for like 15 minutes.
But we're here. We made
We're
it.
here.
We have articles.
Yes, we have articles. We have some interesting stories. We're not covering the situation in the UK out of respect. We don't cover children, especially children. But I want to cover it on the mountain bears because that's when things should be a little bit more stable for us to talk about it.
Okay.
All right. So let's rock in here with our first article from The Independent.
All right. So now this is from back in April. The alarming beliefs of astrology influencer turned killer who warned followers of impending apocalypse. On the day of the total eclipse, Danielle Johnson fatally stabbed her boyfriend and then fled down a busy California highway where she pushed her two children into the path of oncoming traffic and later died after crashing the vehicle. Her motives remain unclear. That's a lot going on in once. So,
Right.
the early hours of Monday, the 8th of April, following a loud verbal altercation at their home in North Los Angeles, 34-year-old Danielle Johnson stabbed her partner.
Hold still a second. All right. So, morning of April 8th, following very large fight.
Okay, I got it. Following a loud verbal altercation at their home in North Los Angeles, 34-year-old Danielle Johnson stabbed her partner and fled in a dark-colored Porsche SUV with her two young children. As the car sped down the 405 freeway, Johnson suddenly pushed her children out of the vehicle and into the path of oncoming traffic. Her eight-month-old baby was killed, but her 9-year-old sister survived the horrific events. The mother later died after plunging the car into a tree. Johnson, an astrology influencer and peddler of spiritual remedies, had recently taken to social media to warn her extensive following of an impending apocalypse ahead of the solar eclipse, which swept across North America and around the world later on Monday. In erratic posts in the days leading up to the tragedy, she told people to get their hearts in the right place and pick a side ahead of the New World Order. So, yeah. Police say that no instances of a domestic disturbance between Johnson and her 29-year-old boyfriend, Jalen Chaney, had been reported previously, and that the motive for the mother of two's shocking actions was still unclear. So what we know. So Johnson, known online as Danielle Ayoka, was an astrology influencer and would-be spiritual healer, claiming to be a certified Reiki master teacher trained in over 10 different alternative healing modalities. According to her website, she suffered a near-death experience at the age of 3, which served as her rite of passage into shamanism. The site says she came from a line of indigenous shaman and medicine women, which caused her spiritual gifts to blossom. She studied psychology at the undergraduate level before starting her professional career. Johnson began tutelage with a personal healer in 2011, spending 3 years in training. From this, she claimed to have created a unique method of healing that combined her training with her previous knowledge of energy, physics, and psychology. She was also an aspiring musical artist, producing lo-fi and electronic music under the name Ayoka. The artist released an album in 2020, followed by several singles in 2021. The most popular track, Weekend, has around 200,000 listens on Spotify. Oh, so Johnson's personal net worth is unknown, and it is unclear to whom the Porsche SUV in which she made her desperate escape belonged. Her website offers a variety of services such as rituals, intuitive guidance, remote healing, and astrology. The various aura cleanses range in price from $2.99 to $150 per month, though other family and friends packages were available. She claimed to have subscribers worldwide, from the US and Canada to Japan, China, India, Australia, South Africa, West Africa, London, Korea, New Zealand, and Spain. Johnson also operated a page on the online shopping platform Etsy under the username Rich Girl Magic. Item prices range around $15, with over 800 recorded sales and 100 5-star reviews. Products listed on the page included other spiritual and healing therapies, such as audio tarot, guided meditation packages, and zodiac healing cleanses. The Zodiac Healing Cleanse is described as a remote energy work service that is designed to help each sign overcome the hurdles holding them back from their full potential. The cleanses are one-time use and automatically links to your aura once purchased. Customers must purchase the product again if they wish to repeat it. Etsy currently states that the online shop is taking a short break. So Johnson had a sizable social media following with thousands of followers on various platforms and more than 100,000 followers on Twitter, where she posted regularly. As well as posts about her own products, some of her reposted articles push conspiracy theories about political events and the COVID-19 vaccine. Several posts shared by Johnson were marked as containing anti-Semitic comment. In the days before the solar eclipse on April 8th, Johnson's posts appeared to become more erratic, and she warned followers of an impending apocalypse, urging them to pick a side. Quote, "This eclipse is the epitome of spiritual warfare. Get your protection on and your heart in the right place," she wrote on April 4th. "The world is very obviously changing right now, and if you ever needed to pick a side, the time to do right in your life is now. Stay strong. You've got this." A day later, on April 5th, she wrote in all capitals, wake up, the apocalypse is here. Everyone who has ears, listen. Your time to choose what you believe is now. If you believe a new word is, I'm assuming she meant world, is possible for the people, retweet now. Quote, "There is power in choice. There's power in choice. Repost to make the choice for the collective." LAPD detectives investigating the incident on Monday told the Associated Press that while investigators have reviewed Johnson's social media posts, they did not consider the eclipse to be a contributing factor in her actions. "We've taken all the facts we can, but without being able to interview her and without having something more tangible than a post on Twitter, I don't know how much weight you can give to somebody saying there's an apocalypse."
Contributed to one of the most horrific murders we've had in LA. LAPD Lieutenant Guy said. Following the incident, other social media users replied to Johnson's pinned post, warning of the apocalypse and summarizing over her medical state, what is suggested she was suffering from psychosis. What happens to her children?
Yeah, so Johnson's 9-year-old daughter is the sole survivor of their mother's horrific killing spree. According to witnesses, the child witnessed the initial stabbing of her partner before being thrown from the moving vehicle along with her infant sister. The pair were forcibly pushed from the vehicle, with the girl holding the 8-month-old child, Mr. Golan said. Authorities said the infant was killed by oncoming traffic. Good Samaritans found the children on the freeway and called 911. Emergency responders pronounced the baby dead at the scene, and her older sister was transported to a hospital. The surviving child was later placed in the custody of the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services. According to Fox 11, the child's father currently resides out of state, though may potentially take custody of her. Specifics of the arrangement remain unclear. So who is the boyfriend? Police identified the 29-year-old victim of Johnson's rampage as her partner, Jalen Allen Cheney, a former member of the U.S. military who had dreams of becoming a weatherman. According to a 2020 military archive, Cheney was a senior airman with the 31 Munition Squadron armament technician when he was stationed in Italy in December of that year. His brother Mark Shirikas said Cheney checked in with him sporadically and that he had traveled around Europe with Johnson while he was stationed out there. So his brother told the Daily Mail that Cheney did not share details of his relationship, but had sent a concerning message to him in November 2022 that said he had been dealing with a lot, but it was not appropriate to share. The last message he sent to me was wishing me a happy birthday, Cheney's brother said. He was in the Air Force, but he had dreams to become a weatherman who was just like the rest of us, trying to have fun and trying to have a family. LAPD investigators said that Cheney and Johnson had been dating for around 3 years and were living together. Mr. Golan added that there had been no prior incidents of domestic violence ever reported between the couple. Per CBS, though, neighbors said that on the night of the incident, they had heard a loud argument coming from their home in Woodland Hills, a neighborhood north of LA. What?
Oh.
Okay, so maybe we all need to start with like the most obvious, like, psychic coffee shop question that there has ever been. What could she have read about the apocalypse in April? Or the apocalypse. What could she have read about the eclipse in April that would have gotten her to the point of thinking this was the it?
Bringing it up.
Okay. Like, I'm trying to figure out how much of this is psychosis, how much of this is, like, the industry overhyping things and trying to turn a buck and then really screwing with people's heads.
Well, there's a lot screwing with people's heads.
Yeah.
So that would have been the full moon April. That's the total solar eclipse, 245 in Aries. All right. So I'm going to bring this up to share, hopefully, so that we can talk about it.
Okay.
Share. You on streamer. All right. Can we see the chart? Yes, we can see the chart. Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. As we see, looking at the chart from a base perspective, everything is on one side versus the void.
Okay.
All right. We have some triangles going here. We also have some squares. That's the only thing I could see about choosing sides.
Okay.
Could
follow that.
All right. There, these trans and coalescence isn't anything major. I mean, other than like some base things here. Oh. Back one. Thank you.
That's the new one.
Yeah, that's the one I want.
Okay.
Can we go full screen? Ooh, yes, we can. Awesome. So we see the divide of this chart. We also see that everything's kind of bunched together over here in Aries. We've got a lot of suffixes going on. A lot of things are in close degrees. We just have this one square. We have some other things occurring here. We do have some retrogrades going on. So is there any logical view to see this as a total apocalypse? Now,
I mean, I mean, based on the chart, you've at least got the picking sides thing that would probably come through, and most would have commented.
Right. We
Like,
would look at the imbalances of a house. We would look at the imbalances of things. We would see this full Aries war going on here. What I mean by that is you've got everyone lined up almost by 5 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in Aries and Pisces. When there's nothing over here. You do have the suffixual here going in Taurus, which is again within like that 5-degree range. So obviously she would have looked at this and seen it as warfare, because this is a battle. We've seen this before in the act of war, and it's talking about bringing in your flanks and your main army on an invisible assault.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, would that have been more of a misunderstanding by a new or new-ish astrologer that, like, it's an important event, it's an important day, it's not necessarily that kind of important?
It isn't. This is someone that looked at patterning, that did not look at astrology or the astrological meanings of it. This is someone that did not know their craft.
Okay.
Someone that's obviously taking some few quick courses. Anything major.
Okay.
Okay. Is the eclipse significant? Yes, they're always significant. Yes, and what I'm feeling here is a lot of. All right, let's stop sharing this because this isn't going to be useful anymore.
Okay.
Okay. She sounds like she has a lot of study, but it sounds like it's got a lot of Christian overlay in it in her conversations. Okay. And I'm not pointing out the Christians going, ooh, bad Christians, you heard. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, it sounds to me like she took a lot of New Age philosophy, New Age ideas, which are expanding beyond the Christian dogma, and fed them into this. And I also think that we have some middle situations going on here.
Okay. So, I mean, well, this is where we kind of get back into like the Jody Hildebrand and like that whole slew of like fundamental Christian, like, y'all be wilding right now.
Right.
I don't know how else to put it. Like, y'all have gone so far outside the scope of like base religious teaching concept,
right,
into like, okay, that's like a portion of me, and like we're like wide open to more diverse ideas. I'm just kind of trying to figure out, like, where is this branch of like astrology and tarot and metaphysical, and where is that at? Like, is that a community available resource? Do you have to have the special Jesus underwear to get a subscription?
I think that you have to have a really detailed. Well, and see, here's the problem. And I want to go to her Twitter, and we'll get into that too, because I wanted to go a little bit farther about looking at her mindset and doing some creation back that way. And yes, we waited on this article. We did not want to cover this. We wanted to give daughter time to get to the father, whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't like covering hot button, but let's go ahead and bring this up.
And yes, Brenda, we are horrified for the 9-year-old girl who had to witness and go through all this. I think that's kind of a without saying. It's just, I'm trying to figure out the source. Like, where does the story start?
Mm-hmm.
And like, is this where this is going to be headed?
Well,
in terms of, is this now the new thing?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at it. Okay, here's the quoted tweet, and if you look at the gift, that is a gift of a Sunday morning praise and worship service from an African American, very large church.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have them sharing here the Islam, and a crow is picking at the Islam flag, and we know what's going on with Hamas. This is ghetto until the white kids get a hold of it and end up on Elon. The trauma the African Americans endured that fuels our outrage today didn't stop at slavery. These are very ancestral, inciting arguments. So we're looking at as far back as June 2019 when we're seeing her begin drifting from reality. Okay, drifting from standard content. 2021, and then we've got
where is there, like, I'm just curious if we can go back far enough to see, like, I expect there's a certain, like, love and light and the universe loves you and crystals and healing and, best for everyone. Like, is there a line there? Or did this start at, like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, the world's failing, this is over, this is horrible?
All right, so from June of 2019 until June 7th, one is June 25th, one is June 17th. So I would say between that time, so less than a week's time, and I wonder why they're posted differently.
Okay.
And of course, this post has been suspended from this content, so we can't see what the content was.
Right.
It goes from standard astrological predictions to what I will begin venturing into psychosis, endocosis. I'm not doing that. That's 2019, 2020, 2021. That's 4 years. And what I'm almost alarmingly going to say is maybe she got into something she shouldn't have been reading. Got into some type of study that she shouldn't have been doing. And this is a problem with studies becoming public.
Well, and especially if they're accessed without understanding and context and etc. That, I'm wondering if it's that. I'm wondering, is it like there's a Mommy and Me Christian Facebook group where, like, I'm just wondering, is there an intersect? Is that, like, because we're starting to see this kind of pattern of, mm-hmm. like, it's Christianity, but with a metaphysical tinge, but it went places that, like, right. neither of those have ever gone.
Well,
and I'm just wondering, is this sort of like the whole incel thing, which right. is like this generation of, like, struggling men
mm-hmm.
who are finding each other online.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're kind of going down their own rabbit hole and, like, pulling each other down in a spiral.
Right.
And it's really fundamentally, like, you step outside of it and you're like, y'all crazy.
Well,
like, seriously, like, you have this moment where you're reading this and it's like, this is bonkers.
Right.
But then it's like this moment of, I don't think any of these people have a mental illness. I don't think any of these people that is more than depression.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's kind of like you put yourself in the depression.
Right. And, understanding the Intel movement and what occurred there is different than what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, but I'm starting to see this kind of pattern where it seems like there's some intervening thing.
Right.
That pulls people over to this blended Christian metaphysical woo craziness,
mm-hmm.
Like it's not. It is, but it isn't either of those things. Like it
Right.
has elements of those things.
Right. And see,
But
I
it
think the
isn't
Hildebrand and what we will call the fundamental Mormon, what we will call the Psycho Mormon Brigade, is different than what occurred here. Like there's two separations.
okay.
There is a reason you cannot study the Kabbalah until you reach 40, or Jewish mysticism until you reach 40. And it's because you need that time of worth, that time of growth, that time of real life perspective. But when I'm looking at this, what I'm looking at is someone between 2019, which we know what occurred, in 2020, to 2023, 2024, going off the rails. Okay, what could occur there? Well, one is mental illness. We don't know, and this is so hard for someone in the metaphysical business to find, and we've had this discussion privately. Someone that is into therapy, someone that can operate with, but my guides say that we're working the next 18 hours. I'm not doing this.
Right.
Okay. And then the other side of what worries me is when we're looking at the level of stuff she was offering at her age. She is 29 years old. Well, right?
I thought it was 34. Yeah, 34.
Okay, so she's 34 years old.
Now, if you back up, she had just turned 30 when you're saying there's that kind of like if you go back to where you were pointing out like the differential in posting, then you're talking about she's 30, she has a 5-year-old, she's in or about to start this relationship.
Yeah, she's not into this relationship.
Yeah, she's not into this relationship with the 29-year-old boyfriend.
Right.
So
and she's running the metaphysical business. Okay, and that's a very demanding business. We have talked on length about how demanding running a business in this industry is hard.
But then you go through the pandemic with it. You go through like social isolation with it.
Right.
You go through, I wonder if this was a transitional business. Like this was a thing she was doing on the side, like her side hustle. And it was all peace, love, and light. And this is fun. And I like helping people and bringing them joy. And then it like suddenly had to be like, I have a 5-year-old, I need fucking rent money.
Right.
Like this has gotta step up.
Right. And see, this is more than just that. Okay. I'm thinking, and I would say that she probably got to the point of gotten too much. Okay. What I mean by that, Mystic Lipstick is the title I'm looking for. And what I mean by that is 10 modalities. 10, hundreds of different other things and these are all different belief systems. So you have to compartmentalize each of these. I think that gets to be a little bit too much. I think that it gets to be a little bit way too much. I think that it gets to a point to where it's like, can we go that far? Okay, can we focus that far? Can we split ourselves that far?
Well, it does sound like she was trying to do a lot all at once.
Right. And
I'm sure you've seen students that are like, I want to learn all the things. Like I have nothing but time. I want to learn all the things.
Right. And we've seen that. We know where that happens to.
Yeah, well, typically, I know that generally starts off really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere in there, either life happens or there's this kind of intersectional point where it's like I can't do all these things at once. Like my brain cannot process this many different tracks.
Right. But
And
also,
so pause.
right.
And
But see, in today's world, this is why I love my students. Yes, if you're wanting education, there is Aeson Knight education, but it is, you do one thing at a time. We aren't doing 50. I'm not going to teach you how to do Reiki, tarot, astrology. And while we're teaching you those things, we're also going to teach you Wicca, the healing properties of palms. And while we're at it, oh, yeah, let's start just working on physical connections of psychic conditioning.
Yeah, it's Aeson Knight Education, not udemy.com, where you can take 15 classes in a day.
Right, but that's
not to throw off on Udemy. Not to throw off on Udemy. It's cool.
Udemy, but they need to, and this is why the mystical schools were so important. Okay, this is why they were so connected, so combined, is because there were stages of learning. And you had to do one at a time. If you go through any mentor, they should be teaching you step by step, stage by stage. It's like right now, I would not go out and run a marathon. I can do a 10-mile hike all damn day, multiple days, but I can't run a marathon. I wouldn't go sign up for one. This is what this girl signed up for. And what I think, and people are not going to like what I have to say, especially those that want to learn everything, is she got into something too deep.
Totally follow
and
that.
It calls a mental snap. We have seen this. We see this with psychics and mediums that are pushing themselves too hard and they mentally snap.
I mean, what's usually the brake pump moment, though? Like, if this sounds like this was just, there was no brakes being pumped. There was nothing stopping her.
Right.
Which, I mean, typically, like, I don't want anyone coming away with the idea that, your psychic could turn into a serial killer at any moment, or a spree killer, or whatever, mass murderer, or whatever her, or one's inclination could become.
Right.
Like, that's not typically the deal, because this is typically not how this turns out.
Right.
Typically, if there is like a breakdown, and we'll call it that, it's a breakdown.
Right.
It's usually a more internalized and like, I'm exhausted.
Right. And it comes from not managing your schedule, not managing your demands. And we see this with like rock stars. Mm-hmm. Okay. We see this with businessmen, and they get sent to rehab, they get sent to whatever. They don't have those safeguards in our industry. We have networks that literally go pump it until it breaks. We have some networks that require 70 hours a week. Like, it is in your contract, you will be online 70 hours a week.
Like, I'm looking through on like services. I'm not really seeing anything out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really not. Like, her blog's pretty calm. Like, I'm just
right.
Like, it's not it. Like, it's a great site. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's still up.
Send it.
But yeah, it's kind of. I'm just wondering if she stumbled into something in terms of like dealing with clients, working with people.
Right. Send me the link because I want to analyze it.
Okay, cool. Like, it's a beautiful site.
Right.
Here you go.
Thank you. All right. Changing your reality one intention at a time. Okay, we can choose that. Or cleansings, take a fucking shower. Monthly cleansings, do you really stink that bad? Healing services, that's where we want to go to. Can we load? Okay. All right, healing services, this is a one-time life chance to research your experience. in-depth in process of revealing damages created by past traumas, generational traumas, unhealthy beliefs, and all. Okay, so this is more like life coaching. Subscribers have a huge chance to change your life. Okay, so we're at life coaching. Healing sessions last for 5 months. Each month is 150, and you'll be charged 150 per month until the series is complete. Ultimate healing services. I'm looking for the discussion of modalities. Okay, so that's basic life coaching thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is life coaching.
Get to know her. Well, maybe not. I'm looking at it. It doesn't really.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of mention of the modalities.
Yeah.
FAQ, monthly cleansing. Okay. Get to know Danielle. Certified Reiki teacher who has also trained another 10 different alter. See, that's what gets me. She's not naming them. Names and names.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, generally expected, but
okay. So then there's some shamanism studies, Indo and medicine woman. Okay. See, those two should probably be at least 10 to 12 years training. So she trained with her mentor for 3 years.
like, and I'm looking through like her reviews because Etsy actually notes what product the person reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing anything out there. And like, well,
Okay.
these are reviews that she left.
Right.
Were left for her.
Right.
Yeah, so it looks like she just has a lot of repeat clients.
Right.
Or did. But yeah, all the way through like May, like clients were leaving reviews.
Right.
I guess after a certain point, Etsy will automatically take you down. But none of these are like, getting over your ex, guided healing meditation audio. Releasing baggage, guided meditation audio. Glamour magic audio, healing toxic friendships, negativity shield, full moon purge. Not that kind of purge. It's a healing audio. Like daily groundings.
Right.
Breaking codependency. Like nothing she was offering was so nothing's out there. It's not out there. It's like, well, yeah, no, that's about, yeah. I mean, it's a little above average, especially for like.
I don't think it's above average. What I'm looking at is someone that went deep in multiple things because I'm looking at her full moon ritual.
Well, I was meaning the number of offerings would be above average for most that have their own site and their own Etsy store and they're doing this full time.
Right.
Like she was working. She was working hard. But it doesn't look like it's all that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's that out there. But what I'm looking at is a green pea ham and coffee soup of beliefs and systems and operations and behavioral connections, and that doesn't work.
Oh, and then there's the Mystic Parlor. Sorry, I went searching for the email address to see where all it popped up at. That's a random. Okay. Weird. I guess just having reactions to her email
Right.
and the words within it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was like it has mystic in the title.
Right.
So it's kind of tendriling weirdly.
Right.
I was just trying to see if there were other accounts or other usernames or other things.
Right.
Like she was very out there. Red Reader. What is Thread Reader? I've not run into the site before. Because she has an account over here and it has a it's all of her tweets. Never mind. It's a social media aggregator is what it looks like.
Right.
So yeah.
So one, I think it's psychosis. I also think that when psychics go psychosis, they're even more dangerous. And I think it's a total misread that fed into the psychosis. To be quite honest.
There was one place, and I'm looking to see if it's a comment on an article. If it would, no, there's no comments. Okay. Because it was oddly a similar story, and somehow the email pulled it.
Okay.
And it's Yuka Takakoa, the real life Yandere, convicted of attempting to murder her ex.
Right.
That was from January from Daily Crime.
Right.
So I don't know if it was just she made a comment somewhere on the site and it appeared on that page.
Right.
It got indexed at the wrong time. So we're not really seeing anything that like screams like, oh my God, you got into some things that you shouldn't have been anywhere near.
Well, no.
I mean, other than just like the quantity of things she had done in a very short period of time.
Right. And that can have its own toll. Point blank, that can have its own toll. But when we look at even more so, like, because looking at this post, it looks to me like she was studying some form of Abrahamic religion. It's the only one that calls for an apocalypse. And it would make sense that she would, looking at what she's studying, that she would be probably working into Jewish mysticism. Okay. And there's a reason that there's gates on that. You talk to any rabbi, there's gatekeeping on that.
Well, I'd also point out in the news were actual comments about the U.S. intelligence officials are warning of violence targeting mass gatherings days before millions gather to watch eclipse. I had forgotten about that part, but yeah, there were some security bulletins and like heightened like threat levels just in the preceding days of that eclipse. Like it was a very awkward time.
It was, and it's still an awkward time. There's still a lot of problems with gatherings and mass gatherings. But if she was on the level she was portraying herself to be at, she would have looked at it and said, yeah, I'm staying home, like I've done during the eclipse. We didn't go. I went to the gym. I paid zero interest in the eclipse. You watched the eclipse.
I saw it. It wasn't like, yeah.
Again,
it was nice. It was fun.
It was nice, but at the same time, you know, I've seen a few of them over my lifetimes, and it's like, I'm not interested in the panic that comes with it. I'm not interested in the energy that comes with it because it's slingshot, and I'm not going to use that slingshot energy till later tonight. That type of thing occurs. That type of magic goes with it.
Well, like literally, like what I remember being so wild about it is, and again, if we hadn't brought this up and like really concentrated on the eclipse, I probably wouldn't have thought about it again. But I remember we went to Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, you were looking for a candle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or I forget. Anyway, we were over in that general area.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember this poor employee.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were being friendly, just like, hey, you know, like she said hi, like, you know, they're required to do. And we're like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And you know, like we were cutting up and
Mm-hmm.
joking around, and she was just like, I'm just so glad. All day, all I have gotten is angry customers who are just furious.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have eclipse viewers.
Right.
Like, we're out. And she said, this is the nicest interaction I've had all day.
Right, because everyone was on last testosterone level aggravation. It is an eclipse in Aries. Those energies are very calming, apparently, for Aries, but everyone else gets a little bit pissy.
Okay. Ooh, that brings up a good point.
Right.
And I don't know, is it appropriate to be like, okay, so do we figure out when her birthday is and see, like, was she one of the other 11 signs?
Let's not.
Okay.
My point, however,
Okay.
and the whole reason of covering this story is more of cautionary. Do not jump into something until you're ready to jump into it. It's like right now, cruising for a bruising, everyone is doing shadow work.
Which is hard.
It's hard. It's not nice. It's hard if done properly. It should not be done alone.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you need a therapist.
Well, if you're doing shadow work, you need to have a therapist for all that you go through
Right.
in doing shadow work.
Right. So let's take that shadow work. She's in California, so we're going to go with probably peyote added to that shadow work. Not a good thing.
Yeah, that would be a bad combo. I'm afraid to jump in and say that like this was drug related per se.
Well, and it may not be specifically drug related. It could be because she's working within native forms and native healings. It may not be one drug on the FBI's drug list, but I would love to send a toxicology report for fungi.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I'm gonna wonder about the interconnectedness there of like the energy other people were in, and whether that was like feeding into it. Right. But also like, and then there is the actuality of like doing shadow work and the fact that like I had a conversation with a relative, and because I was working on something for one of our clients that does shadow work. And I was kind of talking to this family member who I already know and understand doesn't have a real grasp on like all the things. Right. That you know, this is kind of different and whatever. But we were like, she was asking what I was doing, and I was like, oh, I'm making this thing for one of my clients, and she does shadow work, and she was like, what's that? And I said, well, it helps heal past trauma, blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, I could totally use that. And then she made this comment in which she said, my relative did, well, I hope she's having a good day. And I was like, the problem with like shadow work and trauma healing is on a good day, she just has a breakthrough in a positive direction with a client that has most likely been like raped, tortured, beaten, abused, neglected. Like, that's her version of a good day, is she helps someone move through something horrible. she doesn't have a lot of good days.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of days are just like helping people cope with. And it's like you have to really kind of think your way through it sometimes. And I've had to catch myself in trying to like say like positive customer servicey things to her.
Right.
It's like that's not really how that works.
Right.
Like there's not a lot of like, well, I hope your next client's amazing. It's like what would that be? What would like I'm wishing someone has different trauma that like I would hope that I mean that in the sense of they have a great breakthrough and they, you know, learn how to move past this horrible incident in their life.
Right. Well, and that's why, you know, I've preached a lot over the past, 6 months to a year on Solid Youth Plans about self-care and self-time and self-reflection and getting in your own case. I'm not jumping on this bandwagon of shadow work. Like, it's cute. Yeah, I can fucking market the asses out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my flavor. It's not what I'm here for. It's not something that, yeah, in life coaching, we can work on that together. But you're going to have to get certain packages because it's like, no, the level of support you're going to need, we're going to be over here.
Yeah, we're not doing this at $3.99, $4.99, $5.99 a minute, and just ad hoc. Like, no, well, because it's a lot. It's a lot to ask of someone to step into that space, therapist or otherwise. Therapist, psychic advisor, life coach.
Man, honey, you know, all I can tell you, go choose your new car.
Pardon?
At $3.99 a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah, that kind of support. Well, but
choosing a car.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't do it to start with because it's like, oh, that's an inappropriate way to even think about trying to handle that.
Right, and that's what I mean by that.
But there is a possibility, like, you know, some of this also could be related to not really thinking ethically about the business. Right. Not saying she was out to do harm or that she was out to do anything bad.
Right.
But getting down a rabbit hole because you didn't think it through, to go back and say, wait a minute. Do we really want to try to do this level of work with someone on a per minute basis? Right. Do we really want to do this kind of work like in 15-minute appointments?
Right.
Because that doesn't really seem like a safe way to handle this for anyone.
Right. And that's never a safe way. You know, it's like I won't do a general reading on a per minute basis unless you plan to have 45 minutes in your bank for me.
Because it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. I'm not going to do life coaching working on limited beliefs and self-image on a per minute basis. Going to take a while. Especially if you're in your 40s coming into this era of life. It's going to take a while. Go book a life coaching session with me.
Yep, and plan for this to be a multi-session series.
Yes.
It's not going to be a one-stop fix. Like, you don't heal trauma in a one-stop.
No.
And I can tell you now, if you're watching a TikTok video and you think your trauma healed in one video,
you're not.
You're wrong.
Right.
Now, I've had moments of epiphany in which someone actually strung words together in a way, in one sentence, changed my view on something.
Right.
That doesn't mean everything was done and over with and we just, you know, neatly filed that and went, that's an event that happened to me. I'm better now.
Right.
No. But I have had those moments in which someone said something and it was like, I have never thought about it that way. Like that was the perfect string of words to get me to start the process of realizing, oh, wow. That's not where it ended. That's
not where it ended. That's not where it's structured at. That's not where anything was at. So with all that, what we're saying here, why I covered this story is please be careful. One, of who you're working with. Two, on the psychic professional side, if you are pulling crazy hours trying to manage a house and a husband or multiple relationships or whatever you're doing, and you go digging deeper into something that is too big for you, back out. Have someone to be checking you.
Oh yeah, Brenda's like, that would be like going to a therapist one time and thinking you were healed. Say that to your therapist and see how hard they laugh.
Yes.
Because I don't know, I do not know a therapist hearing that sentence that can maintain professional decorum long enough to not end up laughing in your face at, we did not heal anything in one session.
Right.
Like, there's no way.
Especially like meeting on the first session.
Right. It's an involved process. Like, you start therapy, it's an involved process.
Right.
If you start shadow work, you have to pre-plan.
Right.
You should be told, your advisor should tell you, this isn't a one-stop fix. This isn't a two-stop fix. Right. I would love to tell you that in 100 sessions, we can handle everything you can throw at me. It's not going to happen.
Well, it's like this.
It may happen.
TikTok was pushing, and when I'm talking pushing, I'm talking like every fucking video for a while was this shadow work journal that was a 30-day journal, and it was supposed to change your life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would love to hear from the people that did it, where they got left at. I'm not going to call it bullshit.
Right.
It'll change your life.
Right.
Be careful with those words. They have a complex and wide meaning.
Right.
There's a lot of things that change your life. There have been national disasters that have changed everyone's life.
Right.
It's not always for the better.
Right. And even more so, what I would love to hear is someone 5 or 7 years out when they got like, I'm not talking average trauma. I'm talking complex, compulsionary, post-traumatic stress, trauma. What occurred with them? Like how many therapy sessions did you go up to a week?
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to get into technical diagnoses, mine is PTSD. I am about 28 years into this process.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not overnight. And again, it's like, I count the number of sessions. Jesus Christ. Count the number of therapists. I've hit double digits.
Right.
As in, like, industry-wise, people move, people change. I moved, I changed. Finding a fit is a real nightmare. Like, it's a thing you need to know who you're working with and how you're working with them. Is it better? Yes. Lots of things are better. Is it like, oh, it's all better now, we're done?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
And that's kind of the realization and understanding you have to sort of step in with. Like, if I had to go back, I think that would be the part that I really would emphasize to people.
Right.
Like, learn from my own experience and throw it at someone else, is nothing is ever going to completely eradicate this experience from your life.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't still have a great, wonderful, rewarding, very happy, enjoyable life.
Right. Because
you've moved things in different directions, that it doesn't control you, it doesn't define you. And while it happened to you, you're not beholden to reliving it.
Right.
And you open into a space where you can talk about it.
Right.
And then you go through the fun space. Let me go ahead and just spoiler alert. For people who have been through trauma, who have been through that have PTSD, there will come a point where you start to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through this interesting experience, and society has labeled it trauma dumping.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you start to get so comfortable with what happened to you that you can, in terms of like your ability to speak about it, and you want to speak about it, and then you speak about it and you traumatize others.
Right.
Like, not like they're horribly destroyed for life. I mean, nowhere in their worldview did this situation exist until you introduce them.
Right.
And they don't have the ability to like wrap their head around it.
Right.
So then you go through this other experience, which is, do I insert that here or walk away?
Right. Is this useful here or walk away?
Yeah, just walk away. Walk away. Walk away.
Right.
Usually becomes the response. It's like you will find your people, other people who have been through similar, the same,
Mm-hmm.
or have enough like overall experience, because
Mm-hmm.
this that part of like trauma and shadow work and all this is these things happen to a lot of people.
Right.
Like, you're not alone. You're seriously not alone.
Right.
Like, it is a wide world, and there are a lot of people. You are not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
I will assure you of that. Like, your therapist will spend many sessions assuring you of that before you get comfortable. But I will also repeat it. Oh, yeah, you're not the only one.
Right. All right.
It's hard to realize.
And it is. Okay, we're going to hold the other articles.
Okay. This one we really got deep on.
We did, but it's an important one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I hope people pay attention to this, especially if you're in the industry. If you're in the industry and you are having troubles separating your worlds, get a therapist. Get a therapist that is skilled. You're going to have to go to a therapist that sees other therapists. Like, you fall within that box.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
And sometimes that's hard to understand for people that,
right.
And especially if they're not advisors. And it's because like the things that you're dealing with while you're not a therapist as an advisor,
Mm-hmm.
You start getting very deeply into the same territories.
Right.
In dealing with other people's life experience. So, yeah.
All right. So with that, let's pop over and find out if you're an asshole this week.
All right. Am I the asshole to refuse to go to my mother-in-law's house unless she confirms 2 weeks in advance to avoid that she refuses us last minute, as already happened? I, 39 female, am married to my husband, 42 male, for 10 years, and my mother-in-law has always been a problem. He is the only son. She lives 2 hours away from us, and she always plays these power games where she is always complaining by phone that we do not visit her, but then she never allows us to do it. In 2 weeks, we will have some vacation days, and my husband would like to go visit her. He asked her over the phone, and she said she will think about it. She always does this, and sometimes she just confirms in the day before, or even some hours in advance, and we need to rush to pack the car and go there. Or sometimes she just refuses that we go last minute, and then we have no possibility to book somewhere nice to go instead. She does the same if we invite her to come to our house. She will not confirm until last minute, so we are not able to book other things to do with friends. And sometimes I prepare the guest room and she simply does not come. Since last year, I told my husband I'm done with preparing any guest room or making any arrangements to her in our house, as I feel she does not respect us. Also happens the other way around, that she does not call in advance, and then she simply arrives here, and if we are not home, she demands we need to return. Last time this happened, I told my husband, no way we would go home. We were 30 minutes away in another town to go to movies and dinner in a nice restaurant. We didn't go as she was really upset with him. My father-in-law does not have any action on this. He just does what the wife says. She has no friends or other family around. She is always alone with father-in-law at their house. When I go there, she cooks for us and does all the chores because she does not allow me to move around the house. I'm not able to enter the kitchen. I just go to the dining room, bedroom, and bathroom. So she really has a heavy burden of work because she does all the cooking and cleaning when we are there, but it is her choice. This time, I told my husband that either she confirms still this week that we are allowed to go to her house, or I will simply book some days off in a nice hotel in advance, and I do not care if she then says last minute that we can go. My husband is upset and says that I'm the asshole because we should just understand she is old and complicated and go along with what she wants. So Reddit, am I the asshole?
No. Like, this is the most complexity of a mother-in-law I have had in the number of mother-in-laws I have. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot, people.
Yeah, but more to the point, I think you've gotten the right idea that this is about power and control.
Mm-hmm.
Which it sounds like she's had throughout her marriage
and
over her child. And they have both learned to capitulate to her demands. Whatever she wants, whatever mama wants, mama gets. Like, this is the ugly extreme of happy wife, happy life. There's limits there. There's limits there. Known as you actually have to make good, like, you have to be a decent human being with this. Like, you cannot sit here and expect people to, on your whim, show up, not show up, be there when you decide to show up, not know you're coming, or maybe you are, or no one wants to play that game.
All right.
It makes perfect sense why she has no friends. She's done this to others. I don't think you're the asshole. I do think you have to watch that you don't become her competition.
Well, no, I think you fit boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think right now OP understands boundaries, and that's the problem.
Right.
But I think in trying to resolve the issue, she actually has to watch out that the resolution she creates is not just, usurping her mother-in-law.
Right.
Just getting her father-in-law and her husband to capitulate to her demands. Right. Without actually thinking it through, understanding it, and making the connection that this is not appropriate adult behavior. Mm-hmm. This isn't how the world works.
Right.
Like, I'm not making demands. I'm asking you and giving you consequences if you don't. Mm-hmm. To behave and interact like society expects another adult human to behave and interact.
Right.
So I'm going to go with not the asshole with the caveat warning, don't become the asshole.
Right.
Sure, everyone gets on the same page of what this is really about.
Exactly. I like Brenda's solution, but my solution is this. One, you tell the middle of point blank. Mm-hmm. You either confirm today that you're going to be available August 15th, 16th, and 17th for us to visit during those days. We're staying in a hotel. I'm tired of being a prisoner in your house. Or I'm booking somewhere else.
Yeah.
And me and the children will be going somewhere else. Your son can choose what the hell he does.
If your son wants to show up when you whistle for him,
right,
that's his choice.
Right.
My only problem with Brenda's solution is you're still moving the game to her court and letting her decide.
Right.
On her whim. Like, you're building your plans around her and her whim.
Right.
I think it's more than reasonable to be like, no. 2 weeks is a reasonable amount of time, barring flood, fire, act of God, or otherwise. Like if the house stands and is not, just partially damaged, then this goes forward. If you can't commit to that, then why would you ever think someone would show up? Like you can't book a contractor in this situation.
Right.
Like if you treat a contractor, a plumber, a cable repair person, whatever, with, well, I'd like you to come over in a couple of weeks. Okay, they confirm that appointment. And if you don't answer, they still kind of assume that, you just, like, you're now made aware, reminded that it's, tomorrow. And if you're not there and you didn't make the active effort to cancel and reschedule and to do the adult human things,
right,
they very quickly refuse to come out.
Right.
They will not waste their time.
Right.
Because why would I?
Exactly. Now, I'm going to give probably the best mother-in-law I've had. He recently just had her down. You guys may have seen her drifting behind me, whatever. That's the Invisible's mommy. She's fabulous. I mean, she's fabulous. Other than my other mom-in-law, which I love when she visits twice a year. Same night, every time, leaves nicely. I enjoy that. But anyhow, we knew she was coming the last trip she was on. Like, she makes us well aware of dates. She follows up. She's like, this, if we're going in her area, like I'm getting ready to tell her the dates in September, I'm going to be in her area. We will have plans to do something.
Well, and it's not that, like, and I don't even have disrespect for people that are like, look, my life's crazy. I don't know where I'm going to be when. I hate to schedule something. But you know what? If I'm in the area, I'll stop by. And if y'all are home, that's great. If y'all are available, we'll go out and eat. We'll go take the kids. Like, we'll do something if we can.
Right.
Or we'll just talk for a few minutes and, grandma's got to go. Or cousin's got to go, or whatever your relationship is. That's a reasonable, like, expectation. You don't demand people drop everything they're doing and run home. No, she lives in the kitchen.
That was planned, and Brenda, you'll have to wait for the nightcap later for that question to be answered, because that's going to be covered in something you're going to get posted probably tonight or in the morning.
I'm pretty sure when he cleans out the drawer space, she's just going to get a permanent little pull-out, like, bed and futon mattress in a drawer in the kitchen.
Nah, she wouldn't fit.
Oh, she's tiny. We can fold her like origami.
Okay, maybe.
She'll fit.
Yeah, but Aeson's going to start having evening coffee with you guys, with the baristas, and it'll come to YouTube, but it's a delay to get to YouTube. That's the benefit of being a barista. You get it first. And at least the experimental ones.
All right, so poll up.
Poll is up. But no, like, come on. I've had the insane mother-in-law that thought her child done nothing wrong ever and was bound and determined to murder me. I'm sure of it. I've had the mother-in-law that adopted me like her own child and then thought she could treat me like her child, which is a no-no.
Like, depends upon how you mean those words. Sometimes that's a wonderful situation. Sometimes that's a horrible situation.
Well, her child allowed her to get away with things that's like that. No.
I've always done well with, like, mothers, like mother-in-laws, like that situation, potential mother-in-laws, future mother-in-laws, could be a mother-in-law.
Right.
I've always done well with the mommies. The the wildest situation I've ever had was I took a friend home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it, a college friend, drove him home. Like, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like 5 seconds into knowing this woman, like, she is already at like, so how long y'all been together? Like,
Mm-hmm.
plans to get married? Are you living together yet? Like, and it's whoa, 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 whoa. Easy, easy, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I actually had to look at my friends like, you don't bring people home often, do you?
Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, understandable. Like, his mother was a lot for a first visit. Like, first meet, first visit. Like, she was just like, wow. And it's like, as a friend, it was funny.
Uh-huh.
Like, if I were dating him, it would have been horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that level of intensity on like a first like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, I'm gonna run away now.
Understandable, but it's more like, and you know, for me, it's, you know, I don't know. Mama Knight's intense. Like, she's always been intense.
She does not half-ass anything.
No, she does not. Not even the floors. But anyhow, like, I think that she's an intense mother-in-law. Like, you do fabulous with her. The Invisible does great with her. But she'll call you out on everything, including your hair or lack of it.
I mean, you know, she does. Brenda was saying she loves Joe, though. Yes, she does.
She does. She loves Joe. Joe has said, you know, there have been boyfriends that she loves. Joe, Steve, thought the world of him.
Okay. Judging by word choices, I'm going to go neither Chris was she a fan of.
No, did not care for either one of them. Jackass or son of a bitch.
Well, I was going to keep it PG, but all right, cool.
No, like, I'll give you her names for them. Like, Al is Jackass or son, you know, at the time, how's the Jackass or how's the son of a bitch. Like, she didn't care for them, and she made her feelings known. The Invisible, she was very much like, I don't know about you, but he's grown on her, or she's grown on him, one of the two. They're the unlikelier friends. Like, have you noticed she calls you, then she calls him, but she doesn't call me. And if I call her, she says, "Let me call you back,"
which makes you so mad. It's happened recently.
Yes,
he called his mother, and she's like, "Let me call you back." Click.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I will say she matches your energy, though.
That she does.
Like, you will pull that stunt. You've done it. You do it to everyone.
Uh-huh.
You will be mid-sentence and like you need to go do a thing or something occurs and you're like, I'll call you back, click. Like, you don't even say it, like, you don't even say bye.
Right.
It's just like, call you back, click.
Yeah, normally I do. She did probably 20 minutes later. I guess she got up and got coffee or something. Anyhow, again, so, you know, as for, you know, the mother-in-laws, I've had some great ones. Yes, I come by my attitude honestly. If you put my mother and my father together, you get me.
Yeah, there's no hope of ever proving he was switched at birth. I regret to tell her.
Nah, I'm fine with it. Insanity is part of the package. But, you know, and, you know, so, you know, and we were talking about this earlier. In-laws have been fun, really, my in-laws have been really good this round. I've had some hellacious ones. I've had some ones that I'm like, are you dead yet? Nope, Edna, you're not. Dang it. Can you do that tomorrow?
Like, I can't say I've truly had like horrible ones. I always end up with the unmets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've dated people, and the whole time we dated, which now, granted, I before you, my longest relationship was 14 months, so I will put that out there.
Right.
I'm usually pretty good with dating of like, this isn't going anywhere useful. So keeping that in mind, not all of these were really long-term relationships. Where I never met a single relative. Not one. And I don't want to say that was like an immediate red flag. It was one of those things that was like, I think, pushed a grain of salt on the abacus of like, there's a problem.
Right.
Like, consciously, subconsciously, something. And then even one that I stayed friends with long after we had split up. Like, I never met the mother. I heard about the mother. I knew the mother's name. I knew where the mother lived. I knew things about the mother. I knew things about the childhood. I knew things. Like, I knew all these things. Never met the woman. And that was in a, like, the relationship was very short. We stayed friends far longer than the relationship. But we'll go with north of a decade. Never met mommy.
Not surprising.
And I'm like, that's a problem.
Right. All right, so the poll is up. You have some different choices this week. Yes, you have yes, you're an asshole for saying if you don't make plans, I'm not coming. Or, I won't be there. No, you're not the asshole. Instead of everyone's shitty, we wanted to isolate the situation. So mother-in-law is an asshole, or Dan, you're in a dill pickle. Feel free to vote. All right, so let's head over to relationship advice.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I just lost my window. 1 second. I just got to click the link. There we go. Advice needed for newer couple. All right, so the TLDR at the very top is I've been seeing someone for a few months who I really like, but our upbringings, families, and differences in finances are making it hard to think about the future. All right, so I, 28 male, have been seeing someone, 27 female, for a few months now. It's been a smooth start. I find her very attractive. We have a lot in common, and we have been getting very comfortable with each other. She isn't the usual girl I would go for, but I told myself in the dating world I was done jumping to conclusions. We spend a lot of time together, and we have grown together as a couple. I really like her as a person and partner. I want to fall in love with her, but it feels like certain things are holding me back. We both have very different upbringings. She is Mexican. I'm full-on Swedish white dude. I grew up upper class. She was lower middle class. Her family all speak Spanish, and while her siblings speak English, her parents do not. It's hard for me to communicate with them, even with her there. It feels unnatural. It's a very traditional Mexican household, and I don't feel like I fit. Additionally, it feels weird to me as someone who has done well for themselves at my age to be with someone who is largely living paycheck to paycheck. I don't mind paying for a lot of things in a relationship, but it worries me for the future. Part of this has to do with the fact that my ex and I were pretty different. I failed to see it for a long time, so now I'm worried about getting too deep with someone. I care for this person deeply, and we've talked about these points already. I know she can't change her past, but I don't want to make it feel like she has to change for me. We both want it to work out, but I've expressed that I don't feel comfy with her family. Odd one out, essentially. She is driven in progressing her career, but finances aside, I think it's hard to see raising a family with her because of the imbalance. Picturing a future where our parents meet, I can't see that happening. Can't really picture them interacting or even having family events together. It just seems like our families are so mismatched, as my parents are white, preppy, older folks. Her parents are about 15 years younger. All said, both families have been very welcoming, which is a big thing for me if we are going to have a serious future together, but it still feels off to me. My brother and his wife have it made. They are very similar, and so are their families. I try not to compare to them, but it's tough for me to picture a long-term future with the person I'm with because of things like this. Basically, where we have left it is, let's just keep moving together and see where it takes us, see what progress we can make as a couple, and go from there. We both don't want to waste time, but feel we owe each other to give it more than the 3 months we have been together to see, because we feel so strongly for each other. Any advice is appreciated.
Well, one, stop dating the family. You're dating this person. If you're dating the family, there's a problem. You can't speak to the family. 2, go learn Spanish. It is the second populous language in the world. Go date it.
I mean, if you're gonna date, if you see this moving forward, I think you would have to at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, give a little, get a lot.
Right.
Learn a little Spanish, get a lot of return for that.
Exactly. And thirdly, and this is probably the more important point, get off your high white horse.
I'm going to have a totally different perspective on this one.
Okay.
I think OP has learned something about themselves that few people really want to delve into.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, there are people that just, they have to stick with what they know.
Mm-hmm.
It's how they were raised. It's how they think. It's how they see the world. It's how they integrate with the world. And quite frankly, somewhere in his head is a little bit of the words slumming it.
Mm-hmm.
You're dating someone beneath you.
Right.
Is how you truly feel about your current partner. To me, that's a giant red flag for any relationship. And I think you've all but said the words, I feel like I'm dating someone beneath me.
Right.
So I think you do yourselves both a favor. Break up. Let her move forward without wasting any more time on someone who is dating down.
Mm-hmm.
And go on to find someone they're much happier with. And for yourself, really take a moment with the fact that you need to stay within your limited social circle.
Right.
And not move forward with someone that is quote unquote beneath you.
Right.
Until you can change that mindset.
Right.
And if that is your current partner, if you find yourselves back together in the future, that sounds like a reasonable relationship that could work.
Right.
As long as you have gotten past that without going through someone else to do it.
Right.
But otherwise, you're probably going to need to date within a very limited social circle.
Right.
So that you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, I don't think I think OP is the type of person that until they can see it,
right,
or they can work through it,
right,
I don't see this working out well in either direction.
Agreed.
Like, it's just going to be a long-term girlfriend.
Right.
And you're not really going to neither of you are going to get where you want to get.
Right. And I think that that's a problem, and the reason I say it is they're going to run into this everywhere. They're looking for a clone of themselves, and they're not going to find it without dating their parents' best friend.
Oh, Brenda says, are we doing Am I the Asshole again?
Sorry, I'll just governmentally rule this dude's already an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry, just your word choices. You're trying to be nice. You were trying to be politically correct. You were trying to be decent, and I appreciate that.
Right.
But ultimately, what's ruling this is you truly feel like you're better than she is, and she's never going to measure up currently.
Right.
So you either have to change that mindset without doing it through her.
Right.
Because no one needs that done to them.
Right.
Like, she didn't sign up to be your, world experience teacher on how to be a decent human being that recognizes the inherent value and worth of others. Like, that's a thing you need to figure out on your own before you date.
Right.
Or you need to stick with other people that think like you do.
Right.
And don't visit your bullshit on the rest of the world.
Right. All right. So with that, let's hop over and see how that poll is going. This was an easy one.
And hands down, he's OP is not the asshole.
Hands down, OP is not the asshole, but the mother-in-law has won the award this week.
Yes. I'm there. I picked that one because of the title, because I'm like, that is a wild place to be with one's mother-in-law.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, but someone brought receipts.
Yeah.
Like, OP brought receipts. And it's like, yep, nope, that's...
Yeah. And, that's the way, you have to draw boundaries with anyone. And you have to decide, are they trying to be a part of your life, or are they trying not to be a part of your life?
Or more importantly, do you have a mother-in-law or a monster?
Right.
And sometimes you get a monster-in-law, and yeah, you got to turn on some lights and clear out from under the bed.
Very much.
It's not happening.
Yeah. All right. So with that, guys, we will see you on Friday with Mountain Bears. Now, I do want to remind people, let me grab that code real fast, that Fortunica does have a special going on. And we have a discount code for you guys here on the Psychic Coffee Shop. Let me find where I sent that at. Yep. And this is the 1st through the 3rd, and it's the energy healing ritual. Samantha is the one that we're recommending, because I know her and she does very well in these areas. But there's a discount code. Again, this sale isn't until August 1st, but we know that this show, we won't be back on air in time for this sale.
It'll already be in progress by Friday.
Yep. So go ahead and grab that code.
Yeah, we want to make sure you get your discounts. Enjoy that. If you offered the services, of course, you could have gotten them with Aeson, but those aren't services he offers. So he is spotlighting a reader he knows, or a advisor he knows to be really, really good.
And trust.
So, yes.
All right. With that, take it away, Vanna.
All right, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcsbnetwork.com.
Yes, and Spotify, the code will be down in the bottom. All right. So with that, guys, we will see you on Friday at 9 p.m. Bye, y'all.
Bye.